Come on down to Thomas Land, Thomas Land, Thomas Land. You're gonna get a bargain price when you come down to Thomas Land. You're gonna see the Topham Hat, he'll give you an evil glare. You're gonna see a guy dressed up as Gordon the Big Blue Engine. I did not prepare a song, but if you come down here for a bargain price of $59.99 for the season passes, I can swear you'll have at least a tolerable time.
A guy dressed up as Gordon the Big Blue Engine.
You guys ever see like those things where people are dressed up at horses at like kids' birthday parties? It's like
no. We're not doing a Chinese dragon situation here.
Ooh, that would be good for this list. But speaking of this list, welcome to the theme park episode.
So I'm really excited for this idea. We both are.
I freaking love theme parks.
Yeah, basically what it is we were thinking, we actually talked about this a few episodes ago, where we were discussing, imagine if we could design our own Thomas theme park, right? Where we could have anything there that we wanted. You know, what would be the coolest Thomas theme park for a Thomas fan?
And then you guys stepped in and said you wanted to see that, so we are gonna listen to the people.
Yeah, exactly. There seemed to be some interest in it.
So we're the people what they want.
And this episode is going to be a little bit more freeform than usual. Basically, we're not going to really rank them in terms of which ones are better than others, because we're kind of making a whole overall pitch for what we would like to see at a Thomas Land. And so we have each come up with 5 specific ideas that we've kind of got for a Thomas Land. However, they're not going to be in any particular order. It's going to be kind of more freeform. We're going to just kind of go through our 5 pitches in no particular order. And they could be anything under the sun. You know, it could be from an idea for like an exclusive merchandise range. It could be like a restaurant. It could be like a hotel at the park. It could be a specific roller coaster. It could be, whatever. As long as it's something that could be at a Thomas Land, that would be a cool idea. So we're thinking, like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Can we have a hotel that's like Gordon's shed in like Calling All Engines or something? That's like the really cheap hotel on the property.
You make people live in a tent? That's what they have to do when they come to Thomas Land?
Yes!
Children are living in a tent? But basically, we've each come up with 5 pitches for what we would love to see at a Thomas Land. And correct me if I'm wrong, Multi, but the way I interpreted it is like, this isn't like part of a greater park. This is literally like a Thomas theme park that was built from the ground up.
Exactly. Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, this is a Thomas theme park, Thomas Land, Thomas and Friends World, Thomas and Friends big theme park, big fun.
Like,
I don't know.
It's like Disneyland is to Disney what Thomas Land is to Thomas. It's like that, where it's like the whole thing is about Thomas. But yeah, so who wants to start? Multi, do you want to start with your, first of the
Yes,
of your 5
I would,
ideas?
actually. Okay, so let's get this list underway. First up, to begin this list, my number 5 is Breakfast with the Fat Controller.
Okay, please elaborate. That sounds fantastic.
Okay, so when you get a certain pass to stay at a certain hotel, no matter what it's themed, whether it's themed to Vickerstown, Knapford, whatever you want to see, Gordon's tent, whatever, you get to go this fine dining area, kind of like the Beauty and the Beast experience at Disneyland, where you can have like a fancy dining type experience. This one, you go to a big table, kind of like what you would see in Lay's Hat's birthday party with like the food display.
I love that.
And
or even it could be like a recreation of like the Fat Controller's study or his dining room where the butler comes in.
Yes,
that would be awesome.
You guys could literally meet the butler, and he could tell you that you are wanted on the telephone.
That's fantastic.
This is every YouTube pooper's dream.
It would even be really cool if I know they're cooler with this in the UK. In the US, they always seem to put the Fat Controller in like
I'd want a guy actually dressed up as Sir Topham Hat. I don't want Ted dressed up as Sir Topham Hat.
Yeah, I want an actual human being in a top hat, like actually playing the part. Kind of like how Disney World has those like people playing Cinderella and like other characters.
How awesome would it be? You just need to get a fat guy that looks like some hat, and then you can eat dinner with him and talk about... I don't know what you talk about, but you could just have a good grand old time.
He plays the part perfectly, like the Sir Topham Hat Twitter guy. Like, he really just knows his stuff. That would be amazing.
You start questioning if he is the real Sir Topham Hatt.
He's even like given information from like the showrunners and the lore of Thomas that like most people wouldn't know, but he knows it.
Excuse me, sir. Are the Colbyfell engines going to appear in season 24? That is unauthorized information, little Timmy. The railway would be very disappointed in you.
That is so great.
He chews you out like Alec Baldwin season 5 Sir Topham Hatt voice when he's really mad.
That would
I
be
am
awesome.
very disappointed in you.
That would be so much cooler than having, like, a guy in a big, kind of creepy, bloated, fat controller suit walking around, not being able to say anything.
Those costumes are always creepy.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I have nostalgia for them, but it would be way more immersive to have an actual human being playing the fat controller, acting like the fat controller, saying what you would want the fat controller to say. That would be the coolest thing. I love that idea. All right, can I go into my number 5?
Yes, you may go. I've been too busy snickering of just look what you've done to our breakfast when it gets served.
I was gonna say my number 1, but it's not really.
Your number 1? Wow, that is unauthorized info, Lemmy.
And the thing is, this out of all of them is my favorite because it's the one I'm starting with is kind of the foundational concept of all of this, of all of my ideas. Because the whole park, what I'm picturing is intertwined. It's really got like a lot to it, and everything kind of feeds into each other. Because I want it to be like an immersive, like you're on Sodor experience. And the way that I'm picturing it is you would have like a huge track that goes all around the park, like a huge, let's just, for all intents and purposes, let's call this the main line, right? And it would run through tons of different locations. Like every attraction that the park has, this would serve as both the main ride and the shuttle service to all of those places. So it would take you maybe from the parking lot, and it would go like all around the park. It would go like through like a mock-up Knapford station. It would go to like it would run past like, a bunch of different stations and locations and the gift shop and stuff like that.
What'd you be riding in?
So you would, I'm picturing that the obvious answer would be you would have Thomas and Percy. That basically pull you around the park. Take Thomas for example,
awesome.
Right? But they would be scaled down, kind of like the Thomas Land that was at Six Flags, where it had that Thomas that was kind of like it was roughly the size of like a minivan, how big that Thomas was.
It reminds me of like the dream, like it's this imagination I had when I was young, where I wanted to be in like a little parade and drive a Thomas around.
Well, it's a lot like that, except it actually runs on actual tracks. So you have something like that, and it's really powered by diesel or something. Like, it's not actually powered by steam.
This park's a phony!
But, it looks like Thomas, feels like Thomas, and it is reasonably big. Like, it's the size of, like, a minivan or something. It's still not, like, huge. Like, it's, like, half the size Thomas should be. But it's big enough that to a kid, and really to an adult, too, to an extent, it feels big enough to be, like, not crazy small for Thomas. Like, it'll be, like, reasonably, like, you could get in his cab.
So it's pretty much a shuttle service.
Yeah. Well, it is, but it's also a ride, because it goes through, here's what I'm picturing. So you've got Thomas and you've got Percy. And every single attraction in the park, this main line rides through. I'm picturing it goes around the perimeter of the park, but it also goes other places. Like maybe it has a line that goes through the center of the park. It goes to all sorts of places. And if you get on this ride, it's like an interactive experience. So what I'm picturing is Thomas...
Wait, are you saying we've made Railway Adventures a reality?
Almost. I mean, we're not controlling the engine, but in every other respect, it's a lot like Railway Adventures. Where basically Thomas, like, say, imagine Thomas pulls into Knapford Station, and you've got, like, a static Gordon there. Because Gordon is way too big to make mobile, so he's just sitting there. Like, that's, like, I think you've got all the main characters at some place in the park. And, they're all at really significant locations. Like, maybe Henry is in his tunnel or something, whatever. And so Gordon is in Knapford Station. And you have a pre-programmed audio file that you play. So you have Thomas and Gordon talk to each other when they meet. So Gordon, and maybe you even have some mouth animatronics, just like the basic kind that Day Out with Thomas has on, like, the faces. And you've got, Thomas pulls into the station and he's like, "Hello, Gordon, how are you this morning?" And Gordon's like, "Oh, not well, Thomas, not well." And, they have, like, a conversation, right? And you, like, witness the whole thing. There's almost a whole story that plays out, right? Thomas goes to each location. First he goes to Knapford, then he goes to Maithwaite, then he goes to Ellsbridge, whatever, right? Goes all around, and there would be no geographical sense to it. It wouldn't be like the same layout as the Northwestern Railway.
Yeah, you've got to literally, to get to the next destination, you literally got to travel miles and miles just to get to Knapford.
Oh my god. But I'm picturing it would be an interactive experience where the engines come to life. They're not just like static machines taking you around. They're actually talking to each other.
That's awesome. Like you could have like a sensor of some sort or pre-programmed, and
it would just be the fact that they know when he's going to show up at the station, and there's something that triggers, like when Thomas pulls into the platform, it then triggers the conversation to start playing. Like maybe there'd be speakers in the station that are kind of
or built into Thomas perhaps too.
Yeah, I feel like there'd be both. Like when Thomas and Gordon are in the station together, you'd use the station speakers. But then when Thomas is out in the countryside giving you a tour of the whole place, the speaker would be built into Thomas in the coaches. So, you would be able to hear Thomas. Like, I'm picturing him
that's
talk
like the closest thing we've ever had. In Big World, Big Adventures, like when Thomas talks about the learning experience throughout the episode. Yeah. I feel like it kind of be like you could. I feel like the closest thing you get to be talking to Thomas. That's cool.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Like he's actually talking to you. You kind of like and it would be like a really interactive experience. As you go through the park, the main line, while it is a shuttle service taking you to all the different attractions, you're riding it just as think about it.
It's a ride. It's like it could be marketed as the big attraction, then all the rest come off as bonuses. Think about it. We go to Day Out with Thomas, and for the train ride. The train ride is literally both that and the transportation here. It's a win-win scenario. There's plenty of photo op opportunities, plenty of interactivity, so much you can go running with this whole idea or deal here.
Yeah, no, I really do love the concept. Is just like this is the main ride of the park because you just want to be driven around by Thomas and also Percy. I think like at noon maybe they trade off and Percy would then take the trains the rest of the day. So you've got you get both
Have
characters.
Percy take all the night trains.
And here's what I really like is that you've got all the pre-programmed character interactions at different places where Thomas goes to Wellsworth and talks to Edward, Knapford and talks to Gordon, that sort of thing. But I think that when it's Percy, there'd be different interactions. So if
it plays a different clip, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it incentivizes people to take the ride multiple times. So you take the Thomas ride, but you also take the Percy ride, and then you get a totally different interaction between Gordon and
Make
Percy.
sure, you see guys, you can either take the Thomas package or the Percy package, or you can get the bundle where it's around the same price as buying either of them individually, but then you can bundle them together and get slightly cheaper. Just slightly, though. It's still a little expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like...
We're gonna be rich!
But, and also, one more thing I want to say before I let you go on to your next point, is that, I really like the idea. Two more things, actually. One thing is, I think that there would be 3 or 4 slight variations on the conversations of Thomas and Percy. So, Thomas, if you take the Thomas ride multiple times, I feel like it would be kind of a bummer to see Thomas pulled into Knapford again and say the exact same thing to Gordon. It would really take you out of it. So I feel like it wouldn't be that hard to just cycle through 4 different versions of that conversation.
Just have the voice actors record a few different takes or 2 versions of lines. It's really simple stuff, honestly. And it's probably very basic, too. Like, hi, Gordon, how are you doing? Oh, I had to get stuck on a hill.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a video game where you go up to a character and you prompt them, and they don't say the same thing every time. They say different things. And you would still hear the same lines every now and then, but it would be so much more immersive. And my goal here is to make it feel like a real Sodor. Like you're there, and for the day, you feel like you're actually on Sodor. Even though it's pretty manageable. The engines aren't full size, stations are scaled down, the tracks are simplified. It still feels kind of like you're on Sodor, and that's the whole point of it. One more thing that I like the idea that maybe. When you go into the parking lot and you park, right? I think the entrance to the park should be the Vickerstown Bridge. You've basically got like a...
that would be cool.
Yeah, thanks. I'm
And
picturing
then
we
when
have...
they're closed for the season, it lifts up and you have to jump it to gain access to all the fun.
Yes. I like the symbolism that it's like you're kind of entering the Sodor universe. Like you're in the real world in the parking lot. You're in the real world when you're, until you get there. And then when you cross over the Vickerstown Bridge, everything gets so colorful and beautiful and everything comes to life. And now you're on Sodor, right? Like it feels like you're, in a special place, in a magical place. And that bridge would kind of be good symbolism for like, hey, when you go into this park, you're in the Sodor world. And you maybe even Thomas can like go over the bridge. And so like, because when you get a shuttle service, you get onto the shuttle in the parking lot and it takes you into the park sometimes. So maybe it's like that. You've got platforms in the parking lot. So you park your car, you get onto the train, and then Thomas takes you over the bridge and into the park, and your experience begins. So that's my idea that's my first idea, and it's the one that takes the longest to explain because that's kind of the foundation of everything else in the park. Everything else I'm going to describe is like an attraction in the park, and the main line goes past all of those attractions and weaves through them. And in all of those attractions, Thomas talks to the characters there. He has some sort of interactive, situation with them. So it's really, this is the bedrock of the whole park, and built on top of the main line attraction.
Bedrock, they were going to Sodor.
Yes. But, like, built on top of this attraction are all the other attractions. So it's all intertwined.
That is awesome. It sounds like a Thomas fan's paradise. Alright, number 4. Every park needs one of these, whether people like them or not, is the animal petting zoo. But with only minor animal characters.
Oh my god.
And they're all in the same fenced area together. So you get Bluebell the cow, Champion the bull, Dilly the duck, Gremlin the dog, Mutt, Alicia the mouse, Pegasus the horse, and I don't know, a bunch of CGI characters I don't care about. But, we're just going to put all these random animals in there, let pure chaos begin, and just send in the 3-year-olds.
I feel bad for Mutt, because it's like they just went and captured him and put him in a petting zoo. Or maybe there's like a guy pretending to be Patch, and he's like, hey, you want to pet Mutt or whatever? That would actually be kind of cool. As if you've got, I really love what you said earlier about the Fat Controller. I feel like that could be applied throughout the whole park. Like, you have a lot of actors playing.
Imagine like you're walking up, like when you walk up to Mickey Mouse, you could walk up to like Mr. C or something like that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
The Mayor of Sodor or something like that.
You can go up to Junior. You can go up to like, that would be fantastic.
Oh, you can have like some younger actors play as Lily, so like do some photo shoots, like with the kids.
That would be so great. I feel like there should be something to do with Lady in the park somewhere. I didn't come up with anything for Lady.
Oh yeah, I tried to not go too Fallout Magic Road because that's literally me in every episode. So I tried to back it up a little bit with this one.
Yeah, you got in trouble a few times ago for saying Shining Time Station was your favorite building.
Yes. And I have no regrets whatsoever. So, what's your number 4?
Alright, so my number 4 is like a water park area of the whole park. So I'm picturing like, one of the stops on the main line, Thomas stops at the docks. Like, you've got a kind of little miniature dock set up. And right where the ocean would be, you've got this massive pool, like really huge, like twice as big as like a normal community pool. What you would expect at a water park. And you've got all this different themed stuff, like the Sodor shipping building is like the where the bathrooms are and like where the showers are. You've got Cranky like is turned into like a water slide, so he's like,
You go around him in a loop.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe he's even got an angry expression.
As well. Can I have like a speaker that goes every now and again? He's like, I hate being here.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, that would be fantastic. Like, the whole thing is
like
meant
the
to be immersive.
equivalent of having like an Oscar attraction, like a Sesame Street land. It's just comedy gold.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I think every character here, when possible, they should have kind of the pre-programmed lines and stuff, because the whole place, the draw of Thomas is that it's like a railway, but it's all come to life. And the park should be the same way, where it feels alive. It's like, in kids, it would be a dream come true for them. And for us too, obviously. But, like, they would actually, like, believe it. And that's the beauty of it. It would be taking Sodor's magic and making it real for people. And also I'm picturing, like, you have a bunch of really fun attractions. You've got Cranky as a water slide. You could also turn him maybe into a diving board, but I don't think
I'm picturing, like, him, like, you ever see, like, those, well, I guess it'd be just, like, simple, like a rope. You could, like, swing on his hook,
Yeah,
and
like a
jump to the
tire
water.
rope. That would actually be really great. Something like that, And there's a bunch of different things you could do. Maybe put Captain involved somehow. An idea I like is you'd have, like, maybe Bulstrode is, like, kind of anchored in the water somewhere. Like, he has a concrete base that goes down to, like, the bottom of the actual pool. So he's not actually floating, so he's not going to run into anybody. Like, he's anchored. But he's there on the side, so children can play in him all day.
Yes!
And at long last, he'll be useful.
That is... when Audrey wrote those lines, little did he know that was what would happen. And then you also see a kid, and he's like, has a little RC Theodore tugboat, and then you're just like, the security screams, like, we don't own the rights to that, get away, get away!
Oh my god.
Alright, my number 3 is a windmill Ferris wheel.
Oh!
Like Magic Railroad.
Perfect.
This is just like the fun fair. Imagine if they actually had a ride based off the windmill.
That would be so great.
And imagine what you could do for the advertisements. You could have like the windmill on the right, and then you'll have like the Thomas and Friends theme park.
That's so great. And the way I'm picturing this theme park too, where
Tie
you have
into your idea where it's like it's going. You see Thomas going by it.
Yeah, exactly. You actually have like a kind of grassy, swampy section where you can actually, you can take pictures. You can have like a little area where you can stand right in front of the windmill and Thomas passing by, and there's like, you can pay a fee and then stand in front of it and take pictures in front of the intro shot as it's happening behind you. Like, that would be the coolest thing.
It reminds me of like 10 Years of Thomas, where you see like the kids waving at Thomas while he's passing that. Imagine that, but even cooler.
And I want to say too, it would look really convincing. Like, I'm picturing every engine in this park looks really, really like accurate. Like, they're not just like because generally, like when they had the Six Flags Thomas, it was okay, but it was not very close at all. I'm picturing that if they were to do this park, all the engines, the proportions would be dead on. The faces would look classic series. All the characters would just really match, what we would picture them as. They'd be like, just really accurate TV series designs. And so seeing that Thomas passing by in the background, the only thing that's off is that he's like the size of a minivan. Even then, you can't really tell because he's far away. He would still be closer than, you would expect him to be because, they don't have the room to literally put a mile between the photography area and the windmill. However, like, just recreating scenes like that is exactly what I'd love to see. And the windmill should be like one of those places where, not somewhere you stop, of course, but somewhere where you pass by. And, meanwhile, while people are taking pictures in front of it, Thomas is commenting on the windmill and saying like, oh, and here's the windmill. That's one of my favorite parts of my line, stuff like that. And talking to the passengers who are riding. And so it's like a really immersive experience, and you feel like
for good measure,
by.
Can we have like something appear on the news where a crazy person like grabs hold of the windmill Ferris wheel rides and starts riding it like Junior?
Yes.
Florida man gets on windmill.
It wouldn't even be crazy though, because you would have like seats on there, so that's kind of what you're supposed to do, unless you get up on top of it.
He's like, oh, this wasn't like I planned at all.
I'm picturing like the seats would be like the windmill would look pretty accurate, but like it would have these like kind of like the seats that you would like put on a Ferris wheel where there's kind of those cars. They would be painted white like the arms of the windmill, and so it would kind of like, it wouldn't stick out too much, but you could still tell that it was a ride. And it would give you a great view of the whole park.
Exactly, right?
It should be on like the far edge of the park, so you could see everything, look down on all of it, and it would just be magical to see. That would be awesome.
This got me thinking. I don't have anything like this on my list, but it makes me wonder like what the good centerpiece of the park would be. Like maybe like a big Thomas display or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know what it'll be.
The
other thing I want to bring up here, guys. Put your ideas in the comments, too. I would love to hear them. There's so much untapped potential outside this video.
Yeah, I would love to know what you guys think would be a great Thomas Land. There's so much.
Don't worry about
this is
a budget. Just let us know.
Yeah, this would be like a dream come true for Thomas fans. What's your ideal Thomas theme park? No restrictions. Just say what you want. And by the way, I definitely know what I want the centerpiece to be of the park.
What?
But I'm not going to say it until the end. But I know.
Okay, all right. We're getting a little bit of hype going on here. Okay, then what's your number 3, good sir?
All right. So, my number 3. This is another place where the main line attraction stops. Because basically what I'm picturing is, like, Thomas will, like, it goes around all day. Like, Thomas is like a shuttle service. It's constantly going. And Thomas will stop at each location that is, you know, like the water park and Knapford Station and stuff. He'll stop there for, like, maybe 5 minutes for people to kind of get off and then start up again. And so this is one of those places where he stops. I want a miniature Skarloey Railway attraction, which is like which is like a full circuit, and you've got like one of the stops on the main line is Crovan's Gate, like a little miniature Crovan's Gate where you can see the Skarloey Railway sheds.
Oh, can I get a picture with Nancy?
I was gonna say you could. I mean, you probably could. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Well, I guess I'd rather get one with Skarloey and Renee's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Why not?
What I was picturing is that. So here's the thing. I would jump at Skarloey pulling this ride, but I think I would prefer Renee's, because I think that would be more interesting and unexpected, is for Renee's to be the one doing it.
I agree. I feel like Skarloey should be like the photo op, and like Renee's is the moving one.
Yeah, exactly. And that honestly has more layers than I even expected. But
totally planned it. Embrace it.
But basically, I'm picturing like you would have a lot of you could choose. Like I'm picturing throughout the whole park, right? Most of the engines you see are going to be static, but they're going to be represented, and you're going to have a chance to go up and take a picture with them and stuff. And for the Skarloey Railway, throughout the park, you're not going to be able to have every character, of course, but you can have the important ones, and you're going to have to pick and choose. So for the Skarloey Railway, I think you'd have Renee's, and then maybe like Skarloey, Sir Handel, and Peter Sam. Or maybe like Renee's and then like Rusty and Duncan, or something like that, right? Like choose characters that... I don't want it to be
during the golden age of the park. Duke was there, but then they replaced him with Mighty Mac in later years.
Yes, it's like
you just see. No, they replaced Duke into Bertram and moved him to another section of the park.
Oh my god. And you know, so basically, my thinking is, you build this park, and this is where it's getting super impractical. But you build this park in a really, really beautiful place, like a place where you've actually got some beautiful nature to look at, right? And then nearby some like babbling brooks.
You can take them to picnics.
Yes, yeah. You can actually have picnic areas that Renee stops at, right? And so you pass by like babbling brooks and beautiful forests, and maybe even nearby like a cliff that like has the beautiful view. Whatever part of the park has the most beautiful views, that would be reserved for the Skarloey Railway attraction.
You know those videos on YouTube where people record footage of coasters for the parks? I'm not even talking about them, just literally just filming the roller coaster. Now they need to film Thomas Land, and then someone needs to make a remake of the Island song and paste that footage over it. There's your idea.
That would just be so cool. I mean, it's like, you know, I'm picturing that the Skarloey Railway, the Northwestern Railway portion of the park, you know, the main line attraction. That's more kind of to interact with characters and to see to see Sodor. But the Renee's ride, that's more like almost like a sightseeing tour where you get to see you get to see some beautiful nature, and you get to hear Renee's talk about it, right? Like he actually commentates on the whole thing and talks about we built this viaduct in this age, and we did this in this age, and or whatever. And it's like, he has like his whole kind of history that he gives you. It's almost like a nature tour, right? So that's what Renee's does. And we pass by a few significant Skarloey Railway locations too. And at those locations we pass by static displays of Duke and Sir Handel and whoever else.
That is so freaking cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I would really love to see something like that. And also, it makes a lot more sense than the standard gauge one, because Renee's actually has enough coaches to pull people in. Like, he's got Agnes, Ruth, Jemima, Lucy, and Beatrice. He's got, 4 coaches.
We needed another coach, so we added Skippy to the end.
The thing is, like, on Thomas's train, you'd obviously have Annie and Clarabelle, but I don't know who else. Like, maybe you can have the special coach, like the one Gordon brings, and that would be like the size of Annie and Clarabelle.
No, you have Thomas pulling Annie, Clarabelle, and those orange branch line coaches from season 1.
That's so gross. I can't.
Ew, that's really gross. Actually, yeah. I'm sorry, audience. I am so sorry.
I mean, you might be able to get away with just Annie and Clarabelle. Maybe if you could somehow figure out how to safely have Thomas and Percy running all the time, then maybe that would be fine. Like, Percy pulls 2 coaches, Thomas pulls 2 coaches, but it's fine because they're both
It
constantly
kind of
running.
depends on how well this park does. I don't tell them that part. Our revenue might not be the best, and we kind of are able to fit all 4 guests and the 2 coaches. Don't tell them that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends. But, so what's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is surprisingly the only real ride I have on this list. You guys know in Universal Studios where they have like 3D experiences, like the Harry Potter 3D experience, or like in Disney World they have the Avatar experience. It's basically projector screens with motion pictures, but you like get in a ride, kind of like the Simpsons ride. You just get in a ride and it moves you around while you're seeing stuff on projector. It's a really incredible, and they do some really neat experiences. This is either a Boulder getaway experience where you're first person view of Boulder, or you're the globe from Emily Saves the World. And what you are doing is you are basically going on a motion picture tour of the island of Sodor, seeing like all sorts of wacky things happen. Maybe you can bash into like some trucks and maybe they'll shoot a little bit of water up, splash of water up at you.
That's so great.
It's kind of like the Spider-Man ride at Universal Studios. Like, something like that. You are a literally boulder or a globe, and you're just going through this cool 3D experience.
That is so cool. Oh my god. Like, obviously we can't have, like, every single ride in this park or it ceases to be believable, but I'm kind of picturing the park now with all of our ideas combined. And the thing is, I'm picturing, like, on the Skarloey Railway route, maybe you have an alternate route that shares certain parts of the track, and Boulder kind of, like, crosses over certain parts of the Skarloey Railway route and the standard gauge route. So it's like, you actually have a whole shared situation there where it's like, you get to see certain locations in a different light.
That would be cool if they kind of tied some things in. Like, maybe when you're going on the tour, maybe you see, like, a destroyed shack at the Skarloey Railway stuff that's actually, like, a physical man-made object, and then when you're on the motion ride, you later see how that happened. Like maybe you're on the Skarloey tour afterwards, you see like what happens. Like, hey, I went on that ride, and it ties in.
Yeah, that's great. And it's like, you could even have, like, it's almost like there's a whole kind of overarching story and lore behind the whole park, where it's like, maybe, like, you even have, like, when Thomas is talking to James at Ellsbridge or whatever, they mention, like, oh, did you hear about that big boulder incident? Oh, no, that sounds awful, And it's like you hear kind of little whispers of things.
Exactly!
And it makes you want to see the rest of the park, because you know that there's a place to actually go discover what happened. It's like you go on an adventure throughout
keep
Sodor.
Casually in the dialogue between the engines, like, oh, I wonder what the Skarloey Railway engines are up to. You can buy that pass now, too.
Yeah, that is so cool. I would love that. It's interactive. The number one word I would use to describe my vision for the park is interactive. It feels like
it makes it feel real, but and fun. It's or or they always say like land of make believe or magical place you can only dream about. You can visit this place.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it real. So should I go into my number 2?
Yes.
All right. So my number 2 is also the only ride that theme park ride that I put on here, because all the other ones are really like kind of, it's like a railway themed park, so really it's just kind of riding around on trains. But this one is a legitimate ride. This is like a roller coaster, what I'm about to propose.
Ooh.
And it's also the iffiest one here. Because the thing is, I'm picturing... So my gut feeling is to design a park I would love to go to, and I'm picturing like going there with you and like all my Thomas friends. But I understand that to make the park believable, mostly it would be kids going there, and this ride would not fly with kids, like, at all. It would be traumatizing.
I want to know what it is.
Yeah, so basically, it's called Godred's Crash. And basically...
Oh, no! Oh, no!
So basically, one of Thomas's stops is Kirkmaster.
Can we alternately call it Why Godred?
Yes. So one of Thomas's stops is Kirkmacken, the junction to the Culdee Railway, which is on the Peel Godred Electric branch. But we're not really worrying too much about geography. The important thing is getting a general feel that you're on Sodor. And so essentially, Thomas, so Thomas or Percy or whoever stops here, and then, you get off, at this platform and get onto Godred's train. And the whole ride, Godred is boasting about how, he can be as reckless as he wants, and his automatic brakes will save him, and he has nothing to worry about. Maybe you even have, you hear, Godred boasting, and then his coach is like, Godred, slow down, be careful, don't, don't be so risky. And Godred's like, "Pah, I'll be absolutely fine." And so, you kind of hear that banter the whole time. So basically what I'm picturing is this whole thing has a lot of twists and turns. It's a real roller coaster. Really steep ups and then, really big drops, and it's like up and down and around, and and it really goes fast. So it feels like really it simulates Godred being unsafe and going too quickly and being reckless, right? And so then and the whole structure of the ride, most roller coasters, are made from like they've got all these steel beams, right? And they've got all these supports and stuff. And Godred's ride would have all that, but it would have an exterior that's all rocky. So it would look like you're climbing a mountain, and it would have it would really be like you're on the mountain railway zipping around, except there would be a lot of sharp bends and stuff and a lot of steep drops. And so that happens for about 5 minutes, and then we get to the very steepest hill of all. We get to the steepest mountain, and Godred gets all the way to the top, and then when he goes down the other side, it simulates him crashing, where he's like, "Wait, hold on, my brakes have failed, help, help!" And then he starts plummeting down, and he actually detaches from the coach, and the two are basically connected to the rails separately. So really, Godred's kind of just been coasting with the train the whole time, but it feels like he's been pulling it. So now that Godred breaks away, we're loose and we're falling, right? And we've got this you've got a track that kind of spins around in a spiral going straight down, and it feels,
you have to go upside down at that point.
Yeah, and it feels like it's free fall. It feels like we're rocketing towards the ground, right? And Godred breaks away from us and goes faster than us. So he disappears, right? And goes out of sight, goes into a forest or something, right? And we don't see him for a while, and then we hear a crash. And the implication is that Godred has crashed, right? So
then the ride slowly passes during the photo op, and you see his remains.
Exactly,
destroyed.
That's the plan. And the thing is, to make it a little bit less morbid, maybe it's like Godred is really beaten up, but he's not dead. He's just he's like, "Oh dear, I really should have been more careful. I hope they can repair me." And then they do manage to repair him, right? Something like that. But it's it is still a really intense ride.
Maybe have the breakdown train or something nearby.
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
Like that.
And it's and there would be two Godreds, right? One that's static, that you only see at that part of the ride where he's all beaten up. And
whereas the other one moves with the ride.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Is so cool. That idea of a dual moving car system to where one is not even something you ride, it just detaches the train for the experience. That could be utilized for so many rides. And that has so much potential to it.
Thanks. It would probably be really difficult to pull off safely. However, I think it's the only real way, because Godred has to separate from the train. You can't just damage the Godred you're using every time. You have to have two. So the static one is there, and then there's a hidden track where the non-damaged Godred goes back to the original platform. Then the coach goes back, and finally the exit is in a different place from the entrance. So you exit the ride, and then the coach goes down that hidden track as well, reconnects to Godred, and the ride is reset, so it's ready to go again. But you can't see the damaged Godred until the very end of the ride, and you can't get back in through the exit. So it's it's a very immersive experience. It feels like he's been damaged, then repaired, and then reset, is the feeling. So, that's my idea for the real roller coaster of the park, where it would actually be pretty scary. But at the same time, it would be...
Do you dare go on it?
Yeah, but it would never fly because, it would just terrify kids. You could not do it.
But we all wish it was real.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had to pitch it because I really loved the idea of it.
I freaking love this idea.
If it was an all adult Thomas fans park, then that would, I would love to see that. That would be really cool.
Oh man, Space Mountain ain't got nothing on that.
So what's your number one then, Multi?
Alright, so for my number one is actually something Lemmy pitched earlier, but done in a little bit different way. It's really simple. It's a water park for for the theme park. You could really theme it. Like perhaps say like Toby's waterfall.
Yeah,
like, Toby
that would
and
be
the Flood.
awesome.
That'd be so cool. And they kind of did something like that in one of the parks, but it was just kind of a stacked display. Like, I mean, like, maybe, I don't know, like, he's, like, up there and you could, like, swim alongside him, or maybe they could kind of do, like, have him, like, stimulate him, like, dropping down and they splash up, like, a bunch of, water up everywhere.
Yeah, I know the
but
one.
I got it better.
I know the one that you're talking about in real life, which is, like, there was one in like, Japan, the Japan Thomas Land. Like, the thing is, a lot of what I've said, is like inspired by like the Six Flags Thomas Park and the Drayton Manor and the Japan Thomas Park.
Those things help get the gears going.
But it's like if Thomas, it's basically picturing like stuff like that, but like 3 or 4 times as bigger than that. And so
yes.
We just go really huge with this park and do whatever we want to do. And still, for a railway based park, it wouldn't be that big. Like I think no matter where you are in the park, unless there's something impeding your view, you could probably see any part of the park from any other part of the park. Like, it's not insanely huge.
But here's the thing I want to talk about, though, with the water park, though. And there's a reason I put the water park at number 1. Because there's all sorts of things, like different themed attractions. Of course, you can have, like you said before, you have Bolster, you have Captain. You can have all sorts of fun little things. Yeah, you ever see, like, the Nick Nickelodeon Hotel where they used to have, like, the thing, like, they filled up, like, a big jar of, like, Nickelodeon slime, and I guess, like, water would just splash on the earth? I found a use for the bubble loader!
Oh my god.
That thing is the centerpiece! It literally
that is kind of
overflows
great.
with either bubbles or water and splashes. I found a use for this thing!
And you even have, like, you've got, like, maybe there's, like, an ongoing, like, magic show or something in the very center. And Mr. Bubbles is on a platform, and he's doing stuff with Bubbles, and he's, like, doing the voice, and he's, entertaining everybody, and he's, like, in the very center of the whole area. That would actually be really great.
It's like countdown things whenever the thing's about to overfill and water splashes everyone. The water blower goes from everyone's most hated destination to everyone's favorite part of the water park. Thank you, and good night.
And you've got a few static trucks there that are giggling, and, you've got... Just because I feel like...
Bubblesome trucks, yes, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I feel like every part... There are a lot of Thomas Lands that kind of... They have... Like, it seems like every time they do a Thomas Land, I get why they do this, but they don't have a ton of engines or characters that are there. And I know that it's difficult to make a whole engine, right? However, like, that's what you come for, right? That's what's so cool about it. Is the characters. That's what's gotten us into Thomas in the first place. So I feel like anytime you can put a side character there as a static display, anytime you can put a truck there or something, that's really cool.
They probably wouldn't have had enough money for this, but this is the alternate universe when Thomas was at the prime of its popularity. Instead of making a Thomas movie, they're like, let's make a Thomas theme park.
That would be the coolest thing. I mean, I just love all these ideas. It would be so fun. So
what's your number 1?
All right, so my number 1, this is what I said earlier.
Let me guess. It's a pinchy where you get in it and then it flings you across the park and then you get injured.
Yeah, it's a death machine is what it is. It picks you up, throws you against the wall. That's a good idea for the park. But I didn't even think about this. There should definitely be a Diesel 10 somewhere. Like, there has to be. Like, I don't know where.
Imagine, if he was a part of the ride, like when you're diving down, it's like you're going down, and then you see him, like, at the bottom of the track, and then the vehicle, like, turns to the right before his claw can get you. It's like an animatronic claw.
Yeah, I feel like he would do great in, like, because there are a few other locations I feel like should be along the main line somewhere, like maybe a Smelters with Ari and Bert, or like.
I wanted to talk about that. Yeah, like extra ideas. Yes, that would be dark for the kids. But how cool would a Smelters set be? Also, if you want to get small here, what about should all the Crane games be Diesel 10 themed too? Like every claw is designed.
Yes. That would be awesome. I love that. Or maybe Smelters themed, because that's honestly a lot more like a grabber. Is the thing.
Yes. It's the arcade. It's where the arcade is. It's dark. It's dank. It's like and then you got the
that would
lights
actually be pretty great. Yeah, I would love that.
The Ironworks arcade. There we go. We go. There's our real number 1, ladies and gentlemen.
Another place to put Diesel 10 would be like the Diesel Works. I feel like the Diesel Works should be represented somewhere.
Oh, the spinning turntable.
And also the Steam Works nearby Crovan's
Exactly.
Gate.
I was thinking about that. Yes.
But my last one that I want to pitch is what I earlier said would be the centerpiece of the park. Because when you said that, I was like, oh my god, this is perfect for that. I want to create a huge open-air engine shed in the middle of the park, and it's got like a big turntable inside, and it displays all of like the bigger engines and all the engines that you didn't have places for in the rest of the park. So you've got like in that shed, you walk in there, and this is like going to be the coolest part of the park, is you've got a bunch of big static engines like Spencer and Emily and Arthur. You've got like you've got a bunch of play tables. This is basically the fun and games and education center of the park. So like every engine, you can go up to the cab, go inside, and you can like pull all the levers and they make sounds. You can open up the firebox.
Oh,
and there's
this would be like a kid's paradise.
Yeah, and then there's like a flickering light in the firebox, so it feels like you're stoking the fire. And it's like, you can look out the front windows and stuff. All the engines, you can press a button and they'll say hello or whatever, or maybe they'll auto.
Here's a question though. I have a major flaw with this. How are we going to get kids to leave?
They don't. It's a pretty dangerous park. Or they're gonna have to shut us down. But yeah, this is gonna be a huge shed. I'm kind of picturing like the Railway Series tin sheds with a turntable in the middle. It's a TV series themed park, but I feel like, considering that we're already going to be really liberal with how we design the buildings and the geography and everything, most kids will go in and just think it's like a generic shed rather than Tidmouth sheds. However, Railway Series fans will understand that it's the Railway Series Tidmouth sheds. However, the reason I want to do the Railway Series Tidmouth sheds is because I want there to be a lot of space in here for not just the engines surrounding the turntable, but also like play tables, and I want like a really detailed...
Oh, like imagine like the massive Tommy layouts.
Exactly. There'd be a massive Tommy layout, massive wooden railway layout, and I'm picturing like they go all out. Like you would have like
It'd be like the glory days of Strasbourg, but even better. I'm not saying Strasbourg isn't awesome now, but I mean like the heyday of like when they had all the models out and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, exactly. And you'd even have like really detailed like layouts that have like molded hills and like real like they've got fake water. They're done up just like model railway layouts, except for wooden railway and Trackmaster and Take and Play and stuff like that. The coolest layouts you could ever picture.
How do you get the kids to even leave the shed at that point?
I know. It's like, it would all be accessible to the kids. All the engines would get beaten up, but they would just
keep replacing them.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why you don't use the actual models.
The actual layouts would be durable enough to handle it, but you'd have to replace the wooden railway engines and Take and Play engines and stuff over time. But basically, so you've got all those play tables, and this part I really do like. I'm picturing, maybe behind glass or maybe out of reach of the kids somehow, you have a huge HO Sodor layout. You've got this huge HO layout, and you actually bring in fans from the community to model the engines and model the scenery. And you actually kind of you tap into the resources of the community, kind of like the TCC in a way, except it would be used to create a big model layout. Because we've got people making amazing HO models that are super accurate.
Crazy thing is, they'd be some of the most qualified people to do it. They
exactly.
Really would.
So and they would love to do it too. So you just tap into that, and they get to have their models displayed at Thomasland. And it would be amazing. It would just look so cool. It would be the coolest display, public HO Thomas model display ever. And it would take up a lot of room, more than any of the other layouts. But the kids all have 3 or 4 more durable layouts with wooden railway and Trackmaster and stuff to play with. So it's not like they're looking at it and oh, I wish I could play with that, because they've got a lot of other stuff to use and it's a lot of fun. And those layouts are very good as well.
So everyone's happy.
Yeah, exactly. So this whole building would be, the reason it's a big open air shed with a turntable in the middle versus normal Tidmouth sheds is because there's more room. You need more room to be able to walk around. A big square building with a turntable in the middle would be the best thing. So you've got all the static engines in there. And here's what I like is that you've got a few berths empty. Maybe you have 5 to 10 berths that aren't filled yet. You've got 5 or 6 engines in here at first, engines that you would really like to see, maybe this is where Diesel 10 is, but they start a Kickstarter online where you can vote on what characters you want to see in the park next.
Then you can advertise the brand new character when they come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
And so, and basically, people get to vote on it, and they get to fund it, and put in their own money to say, hey, I really, really, really want to see Caitlin. Let's put Caitlin in the park. And if she gets the right funds, and if she gets enough votes, then they will make a Caitlin and put her in that shed. And she'll have her own phrases. You'll get to go up in her cab. It'll be really, really cool. And what I really like is maybe if the park gets successful enough, you get to actually add a third engine to the main line. So, like, people get to vote on, like, okay, more than just Thomas and Percy, who do you want to see? And I'm picturing somebody like Duck, Rosie, Toby. I think
Diesel.
Diesel would be great. Stepney would be a really cool engine to have. Like, all these different characters. Like, it would be like a tank engine, right? Because a big tender engine would be too much. But there's tons of tank engines to choose from. I would like to see somebody creative, like Stepney or Stanley or someone like that, where it's like they're not really who you would expect, because you would expect Toby or like someone like that. But I would love to see, it would probably be Nia in this day and age, which is, still really cool. But whatever people voted for is what would get made. And like I'm picturing it would be someone really, really cool that the fans would love to see there.
That would be amazing.
The park would basically be like an ongoing project, which constantly has new things added and is modified in the ways that
much
the fans
like
want to see.
Sodor.
Yes, yeah, much like Sodor. It's always evolving in certain ways, but the core and soul of it stay the same throughout the ages.
So that's pretty much our Thomas Land. So yeah, free TWR for everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Throw that in there.
The thing is, like, it's all very impractical, obviously, but I love to dream about it and imagine it. And, it would just be... It's really just a great thing to picture for Thomas fans. It's like, that would be Thomas heaven.
Disney might have When You Wish Upon a Star. We have Magical Land Where Dreams Come True.
Yes, very much so. And I would love to... Again, I would like to reiterate, I'd love to hear what people... What the people watching would like to see in a Thomas Land.
Exactly. Please feel free to get creative. Tell us what you would want to see in this park. And also, once again, I'd like to remind everyone, if you have any ideas, much like this episode we're doing right now, if you have any ideas for future episodes, please feel free to bring them down, leave them down in the comment section below. We really appreciate suggestions.
Please make suggestions.
We really do.
I mean, it's this was really the only reason we did this one is because so many people seem to be interested in the idea. So I would love to hear more like that. It's like what do people want to see in terms of Thomas Top 10s episodes? This one was a little bit unconventional the way we did it. We didn't really rank the ideas, but I hope you enjoyed anyway.
Yes. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. This has been MultiGreenThunder
and Master of the Lemons, aka Lemmy.
And thank you for watching.
See you guys.